Hi, I'm Greg Dell at Dell Disability Lawyers, joined by attorney Alexander Palamara, and we have the opportunity to discuss a resolved case you had against Metlife. And in this video, we get to talk about how you assisted this particular client to win his claim, and then provide some tips about how someone could avoid a denial or help them to do their own appeal should they decide to do that. So let's get into the background of your case, and then we'll go on from there.
All right, well, sometimes you can't avoid a denial because these insurance companies, they seem to want to deny all of these cases. And the denial letters I see just get more and more ridiculous in my eyes. But this guy came to us after he was denied disability insurance benefits by Metlife. He was employed by TFORCE Logistics. Now, TFORCE Logistics, well, some people might know it, some people might not know it, because they have a lot of subsidiaries and whatnot, or TFORCE Holdings or TFI International. They're basically the biggest, or not the biggest, probably the top 5 logistics and trucking company in North America. They're a Canadian-based company, but they're all over North America, and they're pretty much.
Did you know they just bought UPS Freight?
They did a couple of years ago, actually.
Yeah.
So I did know that, actually. I learned it earlier today.
I didn't know that till I got a delivery the other day, and it was a UPS trailer, but the truck was TFORCE, and I go, "What happened?" He goes, "Oh, we bought UPS."
Exactly.
But anyhow, so they're monsters.
They're monsters.
Big company.
Big company. So my client is a truck driver for them, or was
Right.
a truck driver for them. Truck driver for many years. His lifelong job is being a truck driver. You know, he's not too old. He's not even in his 50s yet. So, but entire adult career was being a truck driver. Right. Loved his job. He loved the independence of the job. Loved being out there driving every single day. But unfortunately for him, medical conditions popped up over the years that slowly got more and more to the point where it was just unsafe for him to drive. So his medical conditions included insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes, suffered from sciatica, obstructive sleep disorder, hypoglycemia, a few other things that just basically all added up to he had more and more symptoms, more and more conditions, to the point where he's suffering from heart palpitations, dizziness, shakiness, confusion, obviously back pain, and it got to the point where he just couldn't sit all day, and it wasn't safe for him to drive. I mean, he's driving a huge truck. It just wasn't safe for him to be on the road any longer. So he went to one of his treating providers. The treating provider looked at him and said, "Your numbers are crazy right now. There's no way, it's unsafe for you to drive." Went back a few more times. He stopped working, went back a few more times, and lo and behold, he said, "I have to apply for long-term disability insurance benefits." Now, TFORCE or TFI, they provide long-term disability insurance coverage for all their employees, and the policies with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. And the policy states that if you are unable to perform the duties of your own occupation, they should pay you benefits. The policy also has a change in definition of disability. It's a pretty typical policy that after 2 years of benefits, they'll only pay you benefits if you cannot perform any gainful occupation at that point, but we're not even there yet. So he had good support from his providers. The objective medical evidence was there. There's no one that could deny that his numbers were out of order, that he had diabetes and whatnot. And he suffered from diabetic neuropathy as well, so he's in a lot of pain. And he thought, if I apply for benefits, there's no way they can deny my claim. And what did Metlife do? They went ahead and denied the claim.
So he never got approved at all?
Never got approved when he came to us.
See, these cases where we have truck drivers, pilots, that scares me.
100%.
Because they're basically, this guy's saying, look, I'm on the road every day in a vehicle that if I get in an accident, someone either gets significantly injured or dies.
Correct.
Whether it's the person I hit or myself, because this is a massive 70,000-pound unit I can be pulling behind me or whatever. And you, Metlife, are basically telling me, not in the any occupation stage, in the own occupation, you are fit, we are certifying you to go back to work and drive that truck.
They don't care because they have no liability. If he were to get into an accident, you hear accidents all the day where innocent people are hurt by a truck driver out of control or whatever it may be, but it never goes back to the insurance company who denied the guy's claim. It basically forced him back on the road because he has no other income other than his job as a truck driver. So, but they have no liability. They're never going to get sued for that. So they say, they're very cavalier in denying these claims, and they don't sometimes think about the long-term impacts they could have on a truck driver or on the potential impact of innocent civilians.
Well,
or innocent.
The reason they don't get sued, because I would sue them for that if
someone
it
happened,
happened,
you have to connect the dots.
But
it'd be hard
what happened in this case, take this client for example, they said you're fine. He knows he's not fine. He can't go and drive the truck. So it's not like you said, I'm fine, I'm going to go drive the truck, because he can't drive the truck. So he can't get himself back in a position. He's already tried multiple times, as we know.
But sometimes people will go back to work and do something they can't do
in other situations.
Because they have no option. There's either that or they're going to be homeless.
And
so they put themselves in risky positions.
You bring up a good point that there's many cases we have where people work while disabled.
Right.
And like those come up in the cases where someone's like forcing themselves to work and then they get laid off and then they file for disability and then they say, well, you weren't disabled before you got terminated, but there's strong case law, and if you have the medical support to say, no, you were disabled. So we know that can happen as well. But he gets denied, and what were the next steps that you had to take?
So his family, actually his father-in-law reached out to me, and we spoke to each other, and I learned more about the case. And everything that I heard, I was like, this is a messed up denial. So what they do, they send me a copy of the denial letter. I reviewed the denial letter. The denial letter states that they're relying upon the review of a quote-unquote independent physician consultant. Only one consultant did they list in the denial letter. I immediately take a look at this. I go, this is BS. You know, it's my favorite term for these videos nowadays, but it's a BS, and all these denials are BS.
You're becoming famous for the BS.
For the
denial.
BS, trying to overturn these BS denials. So what I did was I went ahead and got a copy of the claim file. I immediately took on the case. First thing I did was order a copy of the claim file. The claim file is important because it has all the reviews that they're relying upon to deny this case. It has to be in there. So I found not just one consultant's review. In the denial letter, they only mentioned one. I found another one as well. The first one was a family medicine practitioner, also an occupational medicine doctor. The second one was a family medicine provider as well, also with a subspecialty in addiction specialist. I don't know why they utilized that person. So they had 2 reviews done, and both the reviewers basically said no evidence of diabetic neuropathy, no evidence of or any support for restrictions, limitations, yada, 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 no support for this claim whatsoever. So Metlife, feeling so cavalier with this, saying we have 2 doctors saying this, we're going to go ahead and deny your claim. Now, meanwhile, while I was reviewing the claim file, we're also ordering updated medical records from all the treating providers, updated records that from the time he stopped working, even past records as well. I want to see the history. I have to show a history of a progression of his illnesses and to show what his numbers are and whatnot, to show that his diabetes are whack right now, you know, crazy blood numbers, and to show that there's justification for his symptoms that he's complaining of. So what we found was there was a lot of justification going on here. We found a lot of support from his treating providers. We got more support from the treating providers. So basically, we found all the holes in the independent consultants' reports, and I plugged those holes with the support of the treating providers, with the medical records, objective evidence that we had, and we also did a functional capacity evaluation to show this guy had no way to do his light to medium to heavy duty job. There's just no way he could sit all day, no way he could lift all day, this, that, and the other. So it was pretty clear in my eyes that this guy deserved to be on and receiving disability benefits, and we filed a timely appeal, and with that appeal we made all those arguments, offered all the evidence to the insurance company, and lo and behold, 36 days later he's on claim finally.
And now that you got him back on claim, what do you think you will have to do moving forward to protect his benefits? Because you said he's only 50 years old.
So his policy does go to normal retirement age. The problem is, though, as I mentioned earlier, this policy, like many and most group disability insurance policies have, is what's known as a change in definition of disability. So after a certain time period, most times it's 2 years, sometimes it's as low as a year, sometimes it's 3 years, there's a change in definition of disability where it becomes more complicated to qualify for benefits. Because after a certain point of time, you then have to prove that you're unable to perform the duties of any gainful occupation. So while we've obviously satisfied and will satisfy his inability to perform the duties as a truck driver, next time they're going to look at it as an easier job, something either that's probably going to be a sedentary job with not as much carrying and lifting requirements, or not as much maybe even sitting requirements. And what I see all the time is they say that it's a job that has to provide you with, typically under most policies, 60% of your prior earnings. So if you're making $100 grand a year, they're going to find you a job that pays you 60 grand a year. If they find a job that pays you 60 grand that's sedentary, pretty easy to do, they're going to deny your claim. The one I see all the time now is like surveillance system monitor, and they've come up with other terms that you're just like, where do these jobs even come from? Sometimes you wonder yourself, but all they do is they try to find a job that pays whatever your 60% is. If you're making 60 grand a year, it's basically less than 40 grand a year. So they just find whatever low-level job they can find and say, hey, it's sedentary, you can do this without any training. So that's what they do in these cases on a regular basis.
So you're beginning the process now because you're probably getting close, right?
No, I mean, he basically...
Oh, he never got approved.
Never got approved, so he's been out of work, I have to think for a second, probably...
You're still less than a year.
Way less than a year in benefits.
So usually we know the definition is going to change at 24 months, so at the 18-month mark, they'll start to investigate that, and that's when you really dig in and start to recommend he's seeing the doctor a lot more heavily and maybe redo testing or do something to anticipate the review that we know is going to come up so
Right.
that you can stop them from trying to deny him.
You have to be ready. You have to. You can't just rest on your laurels and think they're going to pay for the next 18 to 24 months. You have to be always building your file to get beyond that change in definition of disability so that we don't have a chance for them to deny the claim. Because if they deny the claim, we're going to do another appeal to get him back on claim, but he's going to be without benefits for months on end. So our job is to do our best to prevent any potential denial at the change in definition.
And the other thing that's sad is that he's probably got his diabetes somewhat under control now and he's feeling a little bit better, and he goes to the doctor and he probably says, I feel okay. And the reason he feels okay is because he's not on the road every day. He's not beating himself up, and he has an ability to focus on himself and his health, because it's a very unhealthy job being a truck driver. I mean, there's nowhere to get up and take a break or do whatever. You're basically on the road all day long. You're waiting to unload your truck. Then you get out, you got to load the truck, unload the truck. There's usually people not there to help you. So very, very strenuous job. Now he's at home, has the ability to do therapy, take care of himself. So now he's got to be cautious because he goes to the doctor and he says, Doc, I feel great. Great, relatively speaking. Right. And then MetLife's going to look at the records and be like, well, you said you're doing good. So we have to coach him, like we coach all of our clients, to go in and be like, you have to complain, because your feeling good would be someone else's worst day.
100%.
But you learn to deal with that. And this particular client's been chronically suffering for many, many years and work through that. So you have to be very careful as a claimant, as a tip, to go in when you're someone who's been dealing chronically. We understand that a good day for you is someone else's worst day. But the doctors don't necessarily understand it. And MetLife certainly is going to take a good day is a good day, get back to work.
Right.
So you got to be really careful. So congratulations on winning this one, especially how quickly you did it in that fashion. And if someone out there has a MetLife long-term disability claim, feel free to reach out to Alex or myself. No matter where you live in the country, we always provide initial free phone consultation, and we look forward to discussing your claim with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.